Mayor's Monday on WSAU.com with Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Zach Vruwink. Mr. Vruwink, how are you?
I'm well, thanks.
We just got done, breaking the fourth wall. We obviously don't film this, on Monday. Mm-hmm. We just got done with the Mead the Mead Field splash pad dedication and presentation. A big landmark event for aquatics here in Wisconsin Rapids over the last couple of years. I guess I would imagine that you're satisfied, that you're pleased with how things went.
We very much are. 40 years ago, that site broke ground for a new pool. And so just about 2 years ago, we had to close the Mead pool and unfortunately weren't able to repair it, and the cost of repairs and all that sort of thing. So at this point, we've replaced it with a splash pad, and we're very excited about the fact that we've got the splash pad now at Mead and officially opened it for the summer, for what remains of the summer. But we really felt that children and families in our community spoke very loudly that they really wanted a splash pad in our town. And so we, through some planning and through the support of the Legacy Foundation, were able to bring a splash pad to the Mead Field area in the neighborhood there. And so the cost was about $800,000 when you factor in staff time and hard costs. But the Legacy Foundation was able to fund about $575,000 of that. So really in a very narrow planning window. We normally plan for years typically to see something to fruition. This really was from a planning last fall and winter to construction break ground in the spring to an opening yet in the late summer was really a remarkable project, and we're excited to have it.
Speaking of planning, you showed us the board that the kids helped plan. You had several younger kids, I think it was all elementary school students, right?
That's right.
They participated in kind of a brainstorm session of what they'd like to see at the splash pad, and you brought their idea board to the pad today. It was almost a mirror image. I mean, obviously not exactly, but they kind of put the elements on the board, what they wanted to see in the park, and you did your best to recreate it. Was there any level of apprehension from some of the other people who were involved in the planning process? Hey, do we really want to let these kids do this? Or because they did have a very direct hand in this.
They did, from the colors to the feature selection. Well, we put them through, before we went through the exercise, we put them through some education around water consumption and truly what the budget was. Not financial budget, but what was the budget for water consumption that we wanted the pad to achieve. So they had to forego some other bigger features. So they couldn't have multiple of a very large feature because it really didn't meet the water consumption budget. So it was really a fun process. There were a number of the kids there for that splash pad opener, and really to see their project through to fruition was really an exciting thing that we're proud to involve the youth that are the users of the splash pad in the planning process in a really authentic way. Not just, well, we want to hear from them and we're going to take their input. They designed it, and that's what was built.
Moving on to another major community development, and that would be the upcoming sale of the Rapids Mall property to the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA here in Wisconsin Rapids. Yeah. The sale of the property is not complete yet, but I guess my question would be, from this point, let's say the sale goes through, is there anything that the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club have to do from a city standpoint to, do they have to change zoning? How is this going to work?
Well, because it's such a large tract of land and a very unique use for that property, there will be some zoning and some site plan and site development work that they'll have to come to the city for. There's also the cost of demolition and a whole host of other pieces that really they haven't said we need your participation, but we expect to work with them. There is some property that the city owns that they may need to purchase or to receive in order to support the development. So yes, over the course of the coming months, we're going to be working with the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club on their site plan. They're also going to retain the VA clinic on site, so they're going to relocate that on the footprint, as we understand. And so we're very excited. Now the challenge is there are existing tenants in the mall, and so we're working with them right now to identify places that they may relocate. Some of them may be in unique situations due to retirement scenarios or things that they may choose just to not relocate because of the expense or the time or even just the energy that it'll require.
Sure. And is there any, I know you've said that the actual conversion and the actual construction of the new facility for the YMCA and Boys and Girls Club is not going to include any taxpayer money. Will these businesses that have to relocate now from the mall be receiving any kind of financial help?
Not directly from the city. We have some resources through the Chamber of Commerce and others that might have a city source originally of funds, but directly the city's not providing relocation or financial assistance. As we get through the process with the YMCA development, there is some property that they will not be using for the redevelopment. So the city may have a unique interest in acquiring that property or receiving that property to support other redevelopment around the property. So we're watching it very closely. A lot of it's too premature to really know where things are going to end up. But really it's an exciting time because that mall was built 40 years ago and now effective the 1st of August was without an anchor store. And without an anchor store, the rest of the tenants suffer. And so it really was not a viable option to operate as a shopping mall anymore. So we're very excited that they're going to reinvest about $27 million in bringing this new aquatic center, Boys and Girls Club, and YMCA fitness facility to the property.
I know the process was quick. I mean, like you said, only at the beginning of the month was there not an anchor store. But had you been in contact with the owners of the mall, even leading up to this, so what do we do with this thing?
Yeah, when we had known that JCPenney was going to close, I specifically called ownership and had quite a few lengthy conversations. Because they're not based in Wisconsin or in the Midwest, they're in California, I strongly encourage them to find a buyer. And around that same time, the YMCA had been continuing to look for sites. A lot of people felt they should be downtown or near the west side of the river. And so they got in touch with the mall ownership. I had some discussions, and I think the mall ownership came to their senses and realized that, man, it's time to change course and maybe get ourselves out of the picture. So we're very pleased ultimately that resulted in a fairly short time frame as opposed to having a vacant mall property that becomes blighted and may attract other challenges or issues because it's vacant. So it was a very narrow window. I would think back in April is when I had first discussions with mall owners. I strongly encourage them to think about alternative to a buyer or something in that situation.
It's been a few months since the Wi-Fi was put into several parks here in Wisconsin Rapids. What has the feedback been on that?
Well, I've personally noticed people working out in the park, actually with their laptop, with headphones in, and it kind of surprised me because I didn't expect the user per se to be a working professional working outside of their office. So I think it's been a good trial for us. We don't have any user statistics or data at this point. We expect that as soon as kind of the summer winds down, but we should be having that information soon. But anecdotally, it's been neat to see people taking advantage of the public park spaces we have along the riverfront, finding some shade and doing some work, it's been really rewarding, I guess, and gratifying that way.
Sure. Fall is about to start. Any upcoming events that you think people should know about here in Wisconsin Rapids?
Well, the annual Grand Affair Festival, which happens downtown, is going to be happening the 10th of September. The 9th is the Craft River Beer Festival that's being hosted by the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters. So this weekend is going to be busy, both Saturday and Sunday when we factor community events. Sunday is the Grand Affair, which brings about craft vendors as well as some other downtown entertainment, a major car show. So it's a really fun time to be downtown, and it really formally kicks off fall just after Labor Day.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.